Now, he remains one of the most compelling and contested figures in Nigeria's political landscape. From an unprecedented surge of youth-driven support in 2023 to a growing reputation as the face of a new political Obi has redefined what opposition politics can look like in Nigeria. But as 2027 approaches, the questions are becoming sharper. With the electoral umpire INEC withdrawing recognition of the leadership of his party, the ADC, how much has the party's stability been thrown into question at a critical moment? Clearly, for a platform carrying the hopes of a fragmented opposition, this raises urgent concerns about structure, legitimacy, and survival. What happens when the vehicle for political change is itself uncertain? But beyond this, if the ADC were to make it through, can Mr. Obi secure the party's ticket in what appears to be a crowded and competitive field? Is his recent engagement with Rabiu Kwankwaso the beginning of a formidable Northern alliance or just political optics? And perhaps most critically, can any opposition figure, no matter how popular, overcome the entrenched political machinery of President Bola Tinubu, even in the face of deepening economic hardship and worsening insecurity across Nigeria? And I'm joined now exclusively by the former governor of Anambra State and former 2023 presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, for his first mainstream television interview in 2026. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Mr. Charles, for inviting me.
We really are honored to have you.
Yeah, because this was agreed long time ago.
And not only that, it's your first mainstream television interview. So Arise is grateful to you for giving us that honor. First of all, will the convention of your party, the ADC, be held tomorrow, Tuesday, as the party announced previously, or is it now riven with uncertainty amid INEC's withdrawal of recognition for the leadership and amid swirling controversies with the ADC's congresses in states like Edo, Katsina, Adamawa, etc., which suggest that there are additional problems within the ADC of internal democracy, which also suggests that if it can't solve such internal problems, it'll have no chance of being able to convince Nigerians that it can deal with national politics and national governance. So, will the convention take place tomorrow?
Definitely, it will hold tomorrow.
Do we know where it's going to hold?
In Abuja here. It's going to happen in Abuja here. And I'm sure Arise will cover it. It will definitely hold.
Well, the reason I ask that is that we know that obviously ADC is planning to stage these events, but the party, we're told, still doesn't have a venue yet. I understand you've been denied access to all the venues you applied for, including Eagle Square in Abuja and the National Stadium in Abuja. I mean, is that the fact?
That shows you the integrity of our democracy. If you're denied simple things like venue and everything, it shows where the country is drifting to. Where party, when we have freedom of association, everything enshrined in our constitution, and yet a party that is supposed to be the main opposition party cannot allow to exist.
Obviously, the ADC has the legal right to hold its events at those places. Why do you think it is being denied access to those?
You know that very well, Charles.
Well, I don't. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, well, obviously, the government. The government doesn't want other parties to exist. They're not playing by the rules.
But what are the reasons those venues are giving you?
I don't know, just like you.
Right.
I don't know, but I believe that unless the party in power decides to support our institutions to be able to play their part, we'll be having such problems.
The ADC also has its coincidence, its Supreme Court case on Tuesday over the issue of the leadership of David Mark. What's the central argument there? Is it that issues to do with internal party politics should not be heard in the courts, even though the Court of Appeal ruled otherwise? Is the ADC essentially seeking an interpretation from the Supreme Court?
There have been decided cases clearly that says that INEC, as called a referee or regulatory body, that nobody should interfere in the internal affairs of political parties. There's so many decided cases, which ordinarily would have been enough. But because the present government is bent on disrupting the entire system, that's why we're going round and round.
And of course, in addition to that, I understand that the Federal High Court will also be in session over the same case. I mean, that sounds like a quite extraordinary judicial model.
You can see where they've reduced our judiciary to. It's then become part of the mess they are creating.
But is it likely, because I've heard it sort of in the grapevine, is it likely that the Federal High Court will yield its case in deference to the Supreme Court? I mean, how do you read the runes?
I don't, Charles, maybe you have better news than I have. I don't get involved with that because I believe it is wrong. Charles, government in office should ensure, protect opposition. In fact, they should make opposition stronger, make it work. I've been in party disputes in the past under President Yar'Adua, and I've said it repeatedly. I recall him calling the then INEC chairman and said, I don't want any problem in any of the parties. I want the parties to be stable, function very well. We have free, credible, transparent election, which everybody, if I lose, I'll go home. Look at what has happened to our democracy. It's not being destroyed. And it's being destroyed by those who yesterday were victims of the same similar thing. We're shouting to the wall, threatening to bring down everything if right things are not done. And now when you have opportunity, and that's what's surprising me in Nigeria, how people can be show commitment to a cause or promise something, and when they are given opportunity, they will fail dramatically. Nobody would have believed that today we will be where we are in this democratic process, considering the actors who are involved in governance today.
Well, one of those actors is, of course, yourself. And the point has been raised, because you mentioned the issue of primaries. So the point has been raised that you yourself seem to have either a knack or the inclination for avoiding primaries. I mean, is that a fact? Because you didn't do the primaries in the PDP. You didn't do any primaries when you crossed over to the Labour Party. You were essentially anointed as a candidate.
Charles, you don't have your facts correct.
And they're saying that
there was
reluctant to do it now.
No, the primaries in Labour. Clearly, it was held in Asaba. There were other aspirants.
Yeah, but they all stepped down for you.
No.
Most of them.
Most
the prominent ones.
Yes.
I mean, the ones who could put up a challenge.
And they gave a reason.
Right. Anyway, I'll come back to that issue, because the other things that... You want to finish what you're saying?
I didn't participate in the primary in the PDP.
Right.
Because I saw it was going in the wrong direction. Charles, when you are in a system where people don't play by the rules, and you believe in the rules, the only way to do decently is to leave.
Right.
And That remains my position yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to come back to the issue of movement from one party to the other. But let me get the ADC issue sort of all tied up in neat little compartments. The Electoral Commission, INEC's decision to withdraw recognition from the David Mark-led leadership of your party, the ADC, it sparked obviously a swirling mass of outrage within the opposition. Do you believe INEC has overstepped its constitutional role?
Totally. They were wrong. And it's even something one can imagine, because they were recognized yesterday. So what's so sudden now that brought about their reverse?
Well, they said they were obeying a court order.
I think they are wrong. That's where I was expressed.
Right. Well, that's one of the things that will be decided by a court. And is this, as many in the opposition allege, and as you yourself have suggested just a hot second ago, a politically orchestrated move by the ruling APC? Do you detect political interference?
I said that is what it is, completely, 100%.
You don't agree with those who say that it is purely, and it could potentially be an issue of institutional overreach on the part of INEC? Because, it doesn't, even if INEC does that, it doesn't necessarily involve the government itself.
No, somebody's pushing them to do that.
But do you have any clarity on that? Supported with evidence?
Well, I've said it what I said. Everybody knows. I just gave you an example. Now, when we had a problem in Africa, President Yar'Adua decided, I don't want this. Even when the case was in court. And that was the end of it. A government that wants progress will support strong opposition. Because it's critical.
So despite the warnings from INEC, the ADC is going ahead with its national convention, the April the 14th, Tuesday, which is tomorrow, amidst all the internal leadership disputes within the ADC?
Because we believe that what they did is wrong.
So will you attend that convention?
Definitely, I'll be there.
Right. Are you confident that a convention held under these conditions will produce legitimate outcomes, or are you building on uncertain legal ground?
Well, Charles, I'll be there tomorrow. And will ensure that that convention, which started with the Congress, comes to a conclusion.
Right. So are you, if INEC, for instance, ultimately refuses to recognize the outcome of that convention, will you accept that the process was flawed, or will you challenge the commission head on? Which way would you be prepared to go?
Let's see what happens when they take their decision.
Right.
Then we'll know where.
Because you're hoping that the Supreme Court will rule in your favor.
Well, let's see what happens.
Right.
These days you can't say nobody plays by the rules today, now. So you can't be sure of what is going to happen.
I'm wondering what impact that might have on your own political sort of
Charles, it's not about me. It's not about the individual.
No, I understand that.
No, it's not about me. It's not about anybody.
Yeah, but
it's about the integrity of our democratic process.
Indeed.
It's about society. It's about building a better society for us and our children.
Right.
So it has nothing to do with me personally.
But we're all individuals within society. And the whole point of society and the democracy and so on is that it allows people to freely pursue their ambitions and their dreams and their careers. What would happen to your own if the ADC is...
Charles, I've never done things or pursued everything, believe in my own ambition or just for me to be true, but I do it believing that it will help to build a better society. And if whatever they do, whatever they're doing, is destroying the fabric, the foundation, which we need for a better society.
What I find interesting and almost astonishing is that in spite of all these problems that the ADC appears to be having, many people are still joining the party.
Yes, because
they know,
because they know that what you're saying or what INEC is doing is wrong. We have said we want all oppositions to come together to build one strong coalition that will be able, because election in 2027 will be the government in power versus the people. So we are now coming to stand for the people.
You're claiming that mantle of standing for the people.
Yes.
Because I mean, you know, it's difficult for the people. I mean, it's one thing to say you're standing for the people, but are the people standing for you? Because if you can't settle problems within your own party, it's going to be difficult to convince people to align themselves with you.
Charles, the problem within ADC or other political parties are problems instigated, supervised, and controlled from external forces, which is government, deliberately to destroy them, investing heavily in it. There's nothing like having, I've heard this several times, people say, oh, if you can't control your house, if you can't control this, if you can't control your party, you can. No. When those problems are externally instigated, supervised, and controlled, especially in a transitional country like Nigeria, where you know that everybody can be bought over or paid.
Except you?
Well, I would say except me. There are other people.
Because what I'm saying, that sounds like you're, as they say, up the creek without a paddle. Because, I mean, what you're essentially saying is that we're in an impossible situation. You're in an impossible situation. Because you're never going to get I mean, if the people that you've got together with are all people who potentially can be bought over,
not all,
have no principles and have no ideology that they're fastidious with. I mean, it just sounds like you're fighting a losing battle.
No, Charles, that's what we are. That is exactly what I'm fighting. And there's a number of people with me who are fighting the same cause. We must dismantle this criminality that exists today.
But how are you doing that? Because I mentioned earlier about this issue of primaries. Let me return to something related to that as well, because you yourself have moved across parties from the PDP to the Labour Party, and now you're aligning with the ADC. Why should Nigerians trust your long-term commitment when it appears you leave parties rather than stay to fix the problems within them?
Let me even tell you, you're even wrong. I moved from APGA.
Yes, you moved from APGA to
PDP.
The PDP, then Labour.
I moved from APGA to the PDP because I had what I can call disagreement or issues with my successor, the governor who came after me. And now I allow it to become toxic and become destructive to his governance of the state. I moved out. In PDP, I said it before, people were not playing by the rules. It was transactional. I cannot be part of transactional primary. I cannot be paying people to go and serve them.
And yet the same
so
people...
I moved...
The same people that you were
I moved
right,
to Labour. And of course, like I said, government came into the same system, which is very clear. You just said about INEC said they're obeying court order. We got in Labour Party, Supreme Court decided a case in April. INEC did not recognize that judgment until 7th of January, 8 months after, because of the same process. You even see people who will be on the rooftop shouting and say, if Peter Obi cannot fix the problem in Labour, because they put fire in the house, and they were shocked that I was able to escape. So they thought I would be there for the fire to burn me. When I now escaped, they say, oh, if he cannot stay and put up the fire, which they put, and then I left. I'm in ADC with the same people.
Yeah, the same transactional people you talked about from the PDP.
Charles, I'm in ADC with the same people, some of whom are left in PDP and other parties. But we are going through the same process. If that process is again compromised, I will speak out.
Right. Okay. But
what is important is not what people are yesterday.
Right.
It's what they are today. Because they've seen where the country is going, and they can decide, no, we are not making sacrifice.
Right.
We will no longer go back to what we used to.
Indeed. I understand the logic of the point you're making, but some would say that that exactly is the concern, that each move that you make is justified for some reason. You know, either a strategy or as, you know, getting away from transactional people or as something else. At what point does strategic movement begin to look like political inconsistency? And how do Nigerians know you won't move on again? You did say that you would in fact move again if this platform faces the same kind of challenge.
Charles, if I have to move, well, I don't have a long time in politics. But if I have a long time, I have to do it 20 times. I will do it exactly. I will not be part of. I cannot be talking about change. I cannot be talking about something new while being process of the same thing. You cannot use the process of yesterday to build tomorrow. I've never been involved in any form of rigging of election at primary level, at the election itself, and after that. No, I've never been part of paying people in judiciary anywhere to give me judgment that I do not deserve. I've not been part of this. You can go ask the last INEC chairman. I never met him for one day. Because he's a referee. I'm a player. And I expect the referee to come to the field and do his job very well. If he chooses to do it wrongly, so be it. But I cannot be preaching change and doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who support you would be re-inspired by what you just said. But you are, of course, now operating within the ADC. Yes. Can you realistically secure the ticket in a field that includes seasoned political heavyweights like Atiku Abubakar? And what happens if you don't? Would you be willing to step aside for a stronger coalition candidate in the interest of defeating the incumbent, President Tinubu?
Well, let me tell you, Mr. Charles, we're a coalition. For me, what I believe that Nigeria requires now is a coalition of people who are willing to sacrifice everything. It's a coalition of competencies, coalition of capacities, coalition of people who are compassionate to tackle issues that Nigeria needs urgent attention today. That's what I see as that coalition. We're no longer going to be a coalition of people who are going to share democracy dividend or transnational coalition because there's nothing to share any longer. Whatever we are sharing now, the country is finished. We need to now be a coalition of people who are going to sacrifice everything to build tomorrow. And if that is the case, it will be easy. It is done in several countries of the world where coalition came together and put somebody to be part, to lead it. Example is in Indonesia. When Joko Widodo was chosen to be a presidential candidate, he was not chosen by his party. He was chosen by a coalition of parties that came together and said, this is our candidate. And because of it, other smaller parties joined in that coalition because they believe he will do the work. Where we are now in Nigeria, it's time to hire qualified, competent person. Our recruitment process for 2027 must be different from what it used to be. Right. We must now get somebody who is committed to a future and a better Nigeria.
And do you see any person who is like that beyond yourself?
Well, like I said, we have a party now. I'm sure the party people will come together and decide. There might be somebody better.
Right.
There might not be. But whatever there is the choice, it must be based on empirical, verifiable evidence that this person is better than Charles. So why should Charles be doing this program when we have a better person?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. And it'll be interesting to see whether a lot of the other people think the way that you do. You had a recent meeting with Rabiu Kwankwaso, the former governor of Kano State. It sparked talk of a northern alliance with you. Is that the beginning of a political merger, or is it just optics?
It's still a part of the alliance, part of the coalition. Charles, one of the things that is affecting us today in this country is lack of unity. We need now to be united as a country. We have to now ensure that religion, tribe does not exist in building this future we want. We need united, secure Nigeria where we can start conversing and discussing issues that will help us to build a better future.
Indeed. But going along that line and being brutally practical, some have suggested that you simply can't win the North unless people like Nasir El-Rufai, in addition to the likes of Rabiu Kwankwaso, come on board and convince the Muslim North to not only look to the South for a president in 2027, but specifically to the Southeast and to you. They say that unless people like El-Rufai and Kwankwaso not only back you, but convince the North to do the same, you might as well forget it. What is your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction is that I work with them so they can do that. But I can tell you, Charles, you can take it in this studio, nobody will build or do what I intend to do in the North. I'll change the North. Our greatest asset is in the North.
Tell us more.
Our greatest asset as a country is in the North. The vast uncultivated land is our future. We can make more money as a country from agriculture than we make from oil. And that we have to start doing immediately. If we want to secure the North today, we need to start investing in those critical areas, agriculture, start pulling people out of poverty, investing in education, investing in health. And that we can do. I've seen it country after country that I've been able to study. Just, I have taken time, if I can say it, more than any other person contesting, to visit different countries to see firsthand what they're doing. And I could see it in the North. I could see that future. I could feel it.
Yeah. But obviously you can't do any of that without, first of all, securing the
That's
North.
it. That's what I'm saying. Of course, when you talk about securing the North, it's just like securing all over Nigeria. When it comes to issue of security, Charles, we've reached a stage where we have to be very, very decisive. No longer issue of negotiation or anything. Charles, I had what I can call disturbing insecurity when I became the governor of Anambra State. It got to a stage that I had to come here and tell President Obasanjo, Mr. President, this is what I want to do. And you must allow me to do it. You can go and ask retired General Enenche. He was commander of the army unit then in Anambra State. Late John Haruna and late Commissioner Bello, I can call names, go and ask them what happened. And you could see it, that the then IG, Abubakar, came and said, for 5 years, we've not had issue of major robbery or kidnapping in Anambra State. I'm not saying it will not go away. No. But you can decisively deal with it. And there's so many ways to deal with it. Because the insecurity we are suffering today was not just something that started with gun. It started with the erosion of governance, erosion of values, erosion of, abandoning the youth,
and erosion
no education,
of
trust, social trust, everything. These are the things that over the years, what you're seeing as cumulative effect of leadership failure over the years that brought us to this. So what you need to do is to be decisive and then start long-term process of ensuring that you build trust, you bring governance, justice, people are punished if they do the wrong thing. You start building while you're pursuing. No nation will lose about 10 of its senior officers. I will not declare war. Charles, I'll declare war.
You have, obviously, you have to become president in order to do these things that you're talking about. And as I mentioned, you need people like, El-Rufai, Rabiu Kwankwaso, and so on to go into alliance.
Not only two of them.
No, I know.
I'm going to be in the north.
Many more people.
I'm going to be in the north.
Yeah.
If there's anywhere any leader should be touring today, it is the north.
Yeah. But talking about El-Rufai, you've described his detention as political persecution.
Completely. Any day, anytime.
Right. You argue that he returned voluntarily, should be treated with dignity under the law. But this is someone who was one of your fiercest critics in 2023.
That's not...
But is now, like you, aligned with the ADC. So let me ask you this.
No, it has nothing to do with aligning with the ADC.
Yeah, but is your position...
No matter what, even if what is happening to him today happens to somebody that is not in ADC, I will say the same thing.
Right.
Charles, we have to build, there should be civility and order. You wrote somebody and say you're inviting him. The person voluntarily decided to come back on his own, gave you a date. You went to the airport and said you're arresting him. He was outside. Right. And then all of a sudden, you said, because he said something in TV or this, he's being detained. It doesn't make sense to me. Charles, a person can be investigated. If you think there's mismanagement of money belonging to Kaduna State, and you've done your investigation and followed the trail and see where the money went to and everything, you go to court, prove your case, and have the money refunded. You do not have to start running up and down, creating issues and all that. It doesn't make sense. Most of these things we are doing, this drama we are doing, in saying we are pursuing corruption, For me, it's nonsensical. Just as I said to everybody, I will fight corruption to where it will be very, very minimal. And that starts by you not stealing,
Right.
your wife, and your children. If you do that, you cut it by 50%.
Right.
And I'm saying something I have practiced at a subnational level. And I've challenged people. I've done it in this studio. Said, show me, just 2 days ago, I was talking to youths. I said, somebody came out and said, oh, I was a contractor in a gathering I went to Noncha. When you were governor, we were paid without giving anybody anything. And I said, ask him and ask any contractor. If any contractor will say here, Charles, me and him have sat down the way I sat with you, and I told him, put this for me, I will stop politics today.
Right. Well, we're running out of time. This has been a fascinating discussion with you. You have spoken consistently about prudence, about reform, but Nigerians are facing deep economic hardship and punishing insecurity at the moment. What are the first 3 decisions you would take in office that would immediately change the trajectory of the economy and of insecurity in this country?
Well, insecurity, I've spoken a lot. I won't tell you everything here, but I'll be decisive. And people will see, they'll feel it. And I'm not going to lead from the back. I'll be in the front. And everybody will see, because if you cannot secure your country, you have nothing to offer. On the economy, we'll deal with it head on. We'll deal with the issue of corruption and waste. There's too much waste here. We'll deal with it. We will begin to ensure that whatever we are doing will be transparent. Nigerians will see it. Charles, this government came in, removed subsidy. Said because they don't want to, they were borrowing to service it. Removed subsidy in petroleum, subsidy in electricity, and that the resources they will save will be used in development. And they turned around, Charles, and borrowed more money. When Buhari came in, our borrowing was 13 trillion, about 13 trillion. When he left, it was 87 trillion. Today, Charles, we are hitting 200 trillion without anything to show for it. Subsidies removed, both in petroleum and power. And yet, we've borrowed more. Our budgets are not financed. Charles, the entire 2025 budget, capital project, the contractors are being owed. So we're owing contractors. We borrowed more money. Where is the money going? What happened? The people need to know. I'll be open to them. I will insist that all borrowing would be used for investment. If they had borrowed to do something, at least the government promised one thing: power. If I don't give you power, don't vote for me. If they had borrowed all this money and put it in power, we'll say, okay. But I can tell you, from 2015 to date, no plant, no new plant has been commissioned or in process of being commissioned by the APC government. And it won't happen soon because it takes a long time to build. Countries like Indonesia, between 2015 and 2025, added 70,000 megawatts. And they are now doing 2025 to 2034, 69 megawatts. India added within the same period 171,000 megawatts to bring their total installed capacity, and this is now to 500,000. Egypt, within 2015 and 2021, added 28,000. How many have we added since 2015? Charles, we have a problem. We need to face it out there.
Right. We're almost out of time, but let me just say that the APC and, of course, the Tinubu administration have a right of reply. So if they feel like they want to come and respond to the things that you've said, Arise News is always willing to give them the opportunity to come and do that. Before
let it know, like I said, that's why I'm talking. As president, I will be talking to the people.
Right.
We want the president to talk to us. Let him, when he was campaigning, it was him saying about the promise to give power. He shouldn't be asking somebody to come and apologize when he didn't deliver what he promised.
Okay, well, we've literally got a couple of minutes to go. One more quick question before we go. Nigeria remains deeply divided along ethnic and regional lines. It desperately needs a vision that can unite all the people in that vision. Beyond rhetoric, what concrete steps would you take to build a genuinely national political identity for this country?
Charles, I've told you that before. It's not the reason why we are divided along ethnic, religious lines is because people who are incompetent, who lack the capacity, who don't have the compassion and commitment for a better Nigeria, uses tribe as their own certificate for competition. So if they say, oh, we won't vote for Peter Obi, he said they are against voting for Igbos. I've said before, do not vote for me because I'm from the Southeast. Do not vote for me because I'm a Christian. Vote for me because I'm committed to turn around Nigeria. And Charles, I'll do it. And I'll start from the north.
On that note, you can land.
I'll start from the north.
Okay.
Because I know where the problem is. I'll start bringing back all those productivity that made it for the north to be safe.
Right. Okay.
And move it to the south. We'll cover everywhere. We need to do it. That's why I keep saying we'll move the country from consumption to production, from sharing the wealth to creating the wealth. When you start creating the wealth, people will see it. You build a society where people start work, talent will match up the opportunity. Where a child of nobody can be somebody without knowing anybody. Charles, you lived in England. Nobody knew your father when they gave you a job. We have to stop people scrambling first class in a restaurant. I went to eat in Abuja the other day. In a small restaurant, the person that served me had a first class. What a country is that? We must stop that.
On that note, I want to thank you exceedingly for taking the time to talk to us today and for joining us exclusively. The former governor of Anambra State and former 2023 presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.